Hello, hello. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Hello to all of you. Great to see familiar faces again and some new ones. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to take a moment to let everybody come in. It's going to be a big audience today, you can already tell.
Okay, I can hear you guys now. How you doing?
We're good. I'm actually going to mute everybody, so don't, and you're welcome to speak if you have something to say. But just so that we can maintain a little bit of silence in the room so we all can hear, I'm going to try and keep us on mute as much as possible, except for those that have something important to say. And thank you all for coming. Wow, we have another big turnout. So the reason why this community is so successful is because of all of you. You keep showing up week after week. So I give you all the credit. It's amazing that we have so much, such a community so quickly. And we've already got over 70 people in the room and we're just getting started. So I can see we're gonna again have another 100 people here tonight, or actually today. And we are going to talk about what time we should start as a community again. I know I brought that up last week, and I want to appreciate everybody who participated in last week's poll. But we're still trying to sort of fine-tune the best time for us to start. And this week, I'm only going to give you two options, and we'll do that poll here shortly. I just want most of our community to at least be in the room when we go ahead and do that. Wow, great looking audience again. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Okay, so let me start with some of the announcements while we let more people in. The first thing I want to say is that if you're planning on speaking today or if you want to network, you might want to go to the three dots that you can find if you hover above your name, above your picture. There's a option called rename, and you can add your email address after your real name. I do need your real name if you're going to pitch today so I can introduce you, but having your email address attached to your name may be useful for maximum networking purposes. So something just to consider. We are venture starters. We are really a brand new community, and we are the people who start new ventures. That includes founders of startups, founders of early stage companies, investors, either angel investors, VC investors, fund investors, family office investors. That also includes service providers, coaches, and people who just like to watch our event and attend and learn. And our community continues to grow. I want everybody to know I'm recording this event like usual, and we will have a replay. We've had almost 50,000 people watch our replays on our YouTube channel. So you might want to look up the Venture Starters YouTube channel. If you aren't already subscribed, please subscribe and like to the videos. It helps us reach out to more people who have never heard about our community. We also had over 300 people register for this event today. And while many will watch the replay on YouTube, I do expect that we're going to have a pretty good turnout. So it's important that everybody remain on mute unless you're pitching or if you have a question or a comment to make to the community. I do like to hear other voices other than my own. So please be active and participate. This is a participatory group. Most of the action happens in the chat. So if you are just landing here and arriving, or if you're new, open up the chat, because that is where you're going to have the best opportunity to meet people directly, communicate with them directly, reach out. And I recommend that for those of you that are planning on pitching today, please make sure that you put your information in the chat, either before you speak or after you speak, so people can find you. After you've got them excited about you, they need to know how to reach you. This is our 12th event where we've had a weekly Wednesday event, which I'm really excited about. But I do want to announce that we're going to do a Saturday event for life sciences companies. So if you're in the medical device, if you're in the pharmaceutical, the healthcare, any of the fields that we all might consider life sciences, please come to our November 5th. It's a Saturday event. It's going to start at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern. The last life science event we did, I thought went really well. I was truly amazed by the talent and the people who were pitching, and also the great questions we had from everybody. If you'd like to pitch tonight, you need to go to the reaction button, which is probably at the bottom of your screen, and look for the digital hand raise. That way you can actually get in the queue. Zoom will literally put you in an order, and I'm going to just go in the order that Zoom puts you in, just to make life easier for me as moderator. But you're all welcome to pitch if you'd like to. But here's the rules. 2 minutes. Try to keep your pitch to 2 minutes. This is an elevator pitch. There's no slides. It's just your voice. It's an opportunity for us as a community to get to know each other. That doesn't mean you won't have an opportunity to send your pitch deck to those that are interested, or if you'd like to actually do a full-on pitch that involves the pitch deck, I'd like to recommend that you look up the Startup Right organization, of which I'm one of the investors that sit on the panel there. And Startup Right has an event that's every other week. And I'm open to letting, if Nick is here or Luke might want to talk briefly, or Anna, about what Startup Right does, because it's a great event. It's not ours, but it's also a great event to also attend and participate in.
I'm not sure if Nick or Anna are here, but I can share a few words and also
Please
share the link about the event. Basically, Startup Right is a bit more personal series of events where startups pitch for about 5 minutes, and they have also a 5 minutes Q&A where investors ask them a lot of important questions, and they also have breakout rooms where they get to dive even deeper in their ideas. I'm gonna share about the events a bit more on the chat, and I'm gonna tell also about what Startup Right does, about how they create online profiles, and they share with their the large network about more than 200 investors. So I'll put all of that information in the chat so people can get to know about the great project there. So thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Luke. Luke is a co-founder of this event. If it wasn't for him helping me to promote it and figure out how to build it, we wouldn't all be here. So I give an enormous amount of credit to Luke.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to mute again everybody because we seem to have a few people with open mics. I just want to take it. Okay, get everybody quiet again. All right. So let's see what else I have. I have a few notes here, and then we'll get into the pitch event. Want to thank Alan Gilbert. If you are here, thank you for being a co-sponsor and helping to recommend our event to many of your first connections. I am looking and hopeful that many of you will be interested in inviting your first connections to the LinkedIn event. We post our events on LinkedIn, and then you're able to invite your own community to our event so we can grow. Also, there's a new face I haven't met yet named May Mahoob, who I'll meet with tonight. I think she'll be one of our presenters, and I understand she also invited a bunch of first connections to our event. So May, thank you very, very much. So the rules of our event are really simple. Just be nice. We're not looking to embarrass anybody, although I do want to have our investors and others that have questions or comments to, feel free to, take advantage of the window between our pitch, the people who pitch, and ask questions or make comments. But we want all of them to be nice, easy, and we're not looking to embarrass anybody, because this is an event where some of our presenters are exceptionally gifted and have presented many times. And some of them, this is their first time they're ever presenting in front of a live audience before. So let's just be, nice, because we want to be inclusive. We want everybody to come and feel that this is a safe place for them to learn how to do elevator pitches. If your signal, though, is not clear, sometimes we have people from overseas trying to do a pitch. I might literally cut you off mid-word. I apologize in advance, but if we can't hear you, or if the signal is just literally too weak, it's very painful for the entire audience to have to sit through 2 minutes of a person who we can't understand. So I've tried not to have to pull the plug on anybody, but understand it's not personal. It would just be because there's a technology issue, and you can always get back and try and see if your signal can be improved on. We do want to hear from you. Also, for some of you who are brand new, my name is Mark November. Last name is just like the month. You can look up information on me on LinkedIn. I have 2 assistants that are helping me. So you're actually going to see 3 people that are either Mark November or Mark's assistant, or my picture, that are amongst us. Those are my assistants literally helping. If you are sending a message to one of my assistants, please understand that I'm not going to see any of those messages during this event. I might not even see them after the event. So if you really want to reach me up on my email. I have a Gmail that is easy for everybody, and my assistant will put that into the chat so you guys can reach out directly. We're going to do 2 polls tonight just to help us out so we can better understand our audience, including what time we're going to start. We're going to do that in just another moment. Again, for those that just arrived, please stay on mute unless you're speaking or you're about to speak. And let's do the polls. So poll number 1 is basically, we're down to these 2 times. Are we going to start at 3 p.m. Pacific, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, or 4 p.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Eastern? I apologize to those of you who are pushing for us to start at a much earlier time or a much later time, but we're trying to find the best time that works for everybody. So if you might just help us out by looking at the poll. Do we have that up already? Great. I can't see it, but at least it's up. And if you can just respond, this will also help us. I'll probably run the poll again next week. And next week, we're going to actually start 1 hour later. So it's going to be at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Again, sorry for the experimentation, but we have so many people in the community. I'm just trying to figure out where we should land when it comes to these events. Our Saturday events will usually be earlier in the day because we don't want to be running into the evening too much. So that's why we're going to start Saturday events at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern. But for our Wednesday, every single Wednesday event, still trying to figure that out. Are we done with that poll? Okay, so I have one more poll, which basically is we'd love it if you would just self-identify who you are based on a bunch of different options, from startup founder to early stage founder to angel investor to VC fund investors to you're just here to watch and to enjoy. And there may have been another option or 2 we had in the poll. Please, you can pick as many of them as apply. It's just so we can get a better sense of who's here at the events. We're trying to improve and make the events as good as possible, since all of you keep coming back and making this really a miracle of a program, of a community. We just want to respond and make it as great as we can. So are we done with all of those? Okay, thank you all. All right, so welcome again to another one of our pitch events. We're going to get started right away. And it turns out that based on the way that the Zoom algorithm works, Robert Molinari, sorry if I got your last name wrong, but Robert, you're going to be the first to pitch. Try and keep it to 2 minutes, and we will ask if anybody has questions or comments afterwards. And I would just want to say real quickly, Robert, before you start speaking, if for some reason nobody has a question for you, it doesn't mean that they aren't interested. They just may not want to do it in front of everybody, and they might reach out to you in the chat. So go ahead, Robert, you're up first.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Bob Molinari. I'm a serial entrepreneur in biotech tools and biopharma. I am starting a company with an undergraduate at Berkeley named Nicholas Tubach. And we are taking on one of the horniest problems in all of healthcare, treatment of Alzheimer's disease. We have a whole new approach based on stabilizing fatty acids in the brain. As you know, decades and tens of billions of dollars have been spent on amyloids and taus and synucleins and all these wonderful protein tools that we have, but none of those has come up in a way that is working, at least not significantly. What we've done is turn the whole thing on its head. Neuroinflammation is actually caused by damaged fats in the brain. I ran a therapeutic startup for a dozen years, raised $50 million, got into 4 clinical trials, and proved that fats are critical to brain health. And Nicholas, who is this brilliant undergrad at Berkeley, looked through thousands of pieces of literature and found data supporting the notion that a very beneficial type of fat that is present in the brain, it's neuroprotective, is actually degraded in untoward amounts in Alzheimer's disease. There's an enzyme that does that, and he went further and found an antagonist to that enzyme that has been thoroughly studied. We have a line of sight to a clinical trial and a validation of a whole new approach to Alzheimer's disease. And we brought together the team that can do a great job with it, because we have the CMC person that's the expert in this. We have myself that has done multiple clinical trials in neurodegenerative diseases, and I have a success record also in startups. And Nicholas is sort of the brilliant brains behind all the mechanism and science. I think that must be around 2 minutes.
Bob, that was great. And we really would love you to solve this problem. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, Bob, congrats on the 2 minute. That's really hard to do, especially in biotech. So congrats on that. So an investor will ask you that Alzheimer has been a really complicated disease to solve. There have been so many clinical trials that have failed through the years. Why do you think you guys have a chance at this?
Because no one else has really been able to address one of the key elements as a causative element, that being neuroinflammation. And we have a drug that we knows gets into through the blood-brain barrier into the brain and can downregulate many, many markers of neuroinflammation. And it's also mechanistically known to protect a neuroprotective fat. So these fats in the brain are some of the most studied molecules on the planet. But frankly, not a lot of people in pharma have a whole lot of experience in fatty acid chemistry. And I spent the last dozen years there. And when Nicholas proposed this to me, I said, well, immediately that must be right. So what's really different about this, it's a whole new approach. It's causative. When you degrade these fats, you get a autocatalytic amplifying chain reaction of damage. That's the same math as a nuclear explosion going on in the brain. And nobody else has realized that.
Okay, anybody else have a question or comment?
Yes, this is Stephen Underwood out of Washington, D.C. Robert, thank you for taking this on. I would just like to ask you, is the same thing that is in Alzheimer's patients the same thing that is in dementia patients as well? And the reason why I'm asking this question is that my wife and I, we're going to have to start taking care and caring for my mother-in-law that suffers from dementia. And I would like to know if this treatment that you're proposing, if it could help those that suffer from dementia as well. Thank you.
It would likely do so. These disease categorizations are highly volatile. Alzheimer's has been associated with amyloids. Other types of dementia, there's vascular dementia, there's Lewy body dementia, there's all of these other things. All of them do involve degraded fats at different degrees. So potentially downregulating neuroinflammation is a route to many of these diseases. We focused on Alzheimer's because we have actually great animal model data in Alzheimer's showing that, you know, the mice are very grateful. They actually get smarter when they take this drug if they're an Alzheimer's genotype. So yes, it's applicable to, it's really a platform that's applicable to many different neuro and even retinal degenerative diseases.
Do you have a deck, Bob? Have you put something together to present to people if we're interested in seeing it?
We do.
Okay, I can.
And I put my email in the chat, but I'll tell you what it is right now. It's Bob, B-O-B, at Medstars, MEDSTARS.com.
And are you looking for a specific sum of money right now?
So we have the IP identified, the company so all these sort of assets that kind of have this great data have been languishing in the back shelves of academia for a long time. And we're raising a pre-seed amount of between $500,000 and $1 million, for which we would secure all the IP, get the IND, investigational new drug enabling work started, and be able to sort of reach a very early phase 1B in human on that amount.
Great. Okay, I'm sure there's more questions, but we have so many people that want to pitch, Bob, so you'll have to meet others in the chat, and I hope you'll come to the November 5th life science presentation. You totally fit into that model. Up next is Robert.
Robert, you're muted.
You're talking about me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was Robert, followed by another Robert. But yes.
I'm going to lower my hand.
Yes, there we go.
Hello, everybody. I'm Robert McNeese. I'm the founder of Lucere Enterprises, Lucere Data, and Lucere Technologies. Lucere is an IT company. I'm also the inventor of a multidimensional signal, which is really, truly disruptive concerning what's out there right now. We're trying to raise $10 million. We want to exploit this technology. The first technology that we want to present is something called zero seek time technology. There's three components to a computer system. You have the CPU, central processing unit, you have the software, and you have the memory. Of those three components, it's the memory that's the slowest part of the whole system. Seek time is the bane, the Achilles heel of that. When a system is called for data, it has to go out there and it has to look for it. It has to read it, access it, and then it reads it. It's the seek time that takes so long. We've eliminated that seek time, and we've done it by utilizing optical disc technology, which is the least expensive, most durable, long-lasting media for storage out there. What we intend to do is raise $5 million to secure the team, mostly the engineering team. We're going to build out the technology. And we want another $5 million to build out a beta site data center for customers and customer relations and building our clientele and our partners. We think that we can have this done in the beta site up and running in 2 to 3 years, and we can be cash flow revenue generating positive between 3 to 5 years after that. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Anybody have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I hope I'm doing this right. So I just unmuted to ask a question.
Here, go ahead.
So with reference to what he was saying, the bottleneck in terms of like, you know, retrieving data and storing data and such. So you actually have a product that you want to develop and you know, sell. So this, like, do you have a product and like ready to go, or is this just like an idea phase?
Well, we did a successful proof of concept on a multidimensional signal, which is the most disruptive part of this thing.
Okay.
If you understand how we do it, you can understand what the zero seek time function is, the fundamental principles of that. And what I mean by that is we're able to access an optical disc in one rotation of the disc, 1/2 to one rotation of the disc. You can stack any number of optical discs in a column, 10, 50, 100, 10,000, virtually 10 million discs. It doesn't really matter. we can access all the discs from the data from all the disks in 1/2 to 1 rotation of those disks, and we pipe it into a single signal. We did a multidimensional signal proof of concept prior. And what we consider the low-hanging fruit, multidimensional principles and technology, and the signal itself, since it's so disruptive, we're trying to take baby steps up into it. Zero seek time is one of those stepping stones and a low-hanging fruit for generating cash flow for Lucere is basically what it is. Zero seek time is a huge niche in the marketplace.
Robert, we're going to have, I'm sorry, Jacob, we're going to have to move on. If you want to connect and talk further, please do in the chat. We have so many people that want to present tonight. And thank you, Robert, again for participating. You're a great community member. Up next is Alan.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm
Hello.
Alan. I'm co-founder and CEO of Stargen.io. We are a marketplace, two-sided marketplace for likeness rights. So on Stargen.io, you can instantly buy permission license to use A-list celebrities in your ads, games, or other projects. So basically, if you want to run an ad with A-list celebrity today, you have two choices. First, you can go to Los Angeles, find a celebrity, negotiate the contract, make a shooting. That might work, might not, will take a month for sure. Or you can go on Stargen.io, purchase a license, generate content, and run your ads within 24 hours or even less. So we made a pre-launch recently, and we made our first 100K in revenue. We sold Michael Bisping, UFC former welterweight champion, and we got and we made also a couple pre-sales for 240K. I guess I just closed the new deal a couple hours ago for 200K. Yeah, that's basically it.
And what percentage does your company keep?
Well, we started with 50% and we downscale it to 15, not because we had complaints, but we don't want to be greedy, especially on the beginning. We want to go forward faster.
And how are you getting the celebrities to participate and sign with you guys?
Well, it depends. We've got biggest UFC stars like Conor McGregor and guys like him. They came themselves because we sold the guy called Michael Bisping. Basically, he brings us his friends. So that's how it works. And we also do cold outreach for managers, and sometimes they give us 1 or 2 celebrities to test out how it's going to go. And if it goes well, so we can go forward and just have the entire catalog of celebrities from each manager.
Okay, interesting. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have some questions. This is Duran.
Go ahead, Duran.
Oh, okay. So I'm interested. I live here in Los Angeles. How is, it's a 2-part question, and Mark partially asked the first one as far as like your pipeline to be able to get those particular acts. My history in the music business, you can pay an artist to actually come to a concert, but there's no guarantee they're going to show. Of course, you can go through the legal process or you can request a refund, but there have been plenty of times where concerts transpire and the artist just don't show, and there's tons of people there. And that's one thing that I didn't hear you really talk about. And then the nature of the license itself, because it's one thing for me to utilize the likeness of this particular artist, but what other specificities, you don't have to go that deep here in this talk, of the license. How am I able to utilize it? What license do you guys have on your platform? That's all for now.
Well, cool. Thank you for the question. First of all, we do not sell time against money. So that means we sell just rights to use celebrities, so they don't spend time in doing content or anything. We generate 100% of the content. So either it's an ad, we can replace an actor by a celebrity using deepfake, AI, 3D, whatever. It's just how we go. And second part is I kind of forget. So can you repeat, please?
I was asking about the nature of the actual licensing agreement, meaning what as far as the use of how I can
you have it depends. So we sell short-time permissions to use celebrities in ads. It typically can be the permission to use, let's just say, Leonardo DiCaprio in South Africa for 2 weeks in targeted ads. So that will cost you X, you know, and that might be something like use a celebrity in mobile game for a month, and that will cost you, let's just say, 50K.
It sounds interesting. I haven't heard of this idea. I'd like to learn more myself, but we're going to have to move on. If anybody else has questions, Alan, you'll have to meet them in the chat. Up next is Ash.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Ash, founder at White Label, Advar Games for Businesses. So it's my fourth pitch, and before going ahead, I want to say thanks to this community. I have been able to make a couple of meaningful connections, and I must say this community is awesome. So have you been bothered by ads from businesses without your consent? What usually happens is when we browse the web or use apps on our phone, these websites and apps collect our personal data. They keep track of us using cookies and identifiers. Later, this aggregated data are sold as third-party data. Both tech giants, Apple and Google, are taking preventive steps to stop this. With all this restriction, businesses will need first-party data. First-party data is the information a business collects from the audience directly. Now, what does that have to do with our Advar Games? On average, users spend 17 minutes on Advar Games. Advar Games can collect first-party data at scale. Thus, Advar Games are an effective solution to solve this problem. We tested the concept with a simple landing page only. Just in 4 months, we made around $9,000 in revenue. We want to make Advar Games available to businesses of all sizes with a Canva-like no-code platform. We're raising an angel round of 100K through SafeNote. The link is in the chat. The fund will enable us to build this SaaS, and we have a strategy to reach $5 million in annual revenue within a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Does anybody have any questions? Then you can meet Ash in the chat. And thank you, Ash, for coming back. Up next is Dave.
Hey, Mark, it's good to be back. Today I'm not pitching for my startup, but I'm pitching for a philanthropic effort my startup is doing.
All right.
That is, I'm selling t-shirts. I was like the one in the background here, and I'll post a link later after I'm done. But so my company is partnering with medical clinics in Africa to collect data of pictures of hands and, of course, pictures of inside of your eye to diagnose diabetic retinopathy through your eye, and, of course, detect early stage rheumatoid arthritis through your hands just with a smartphone, right? And we do this because smartphones are ubiquitous in Africa, even though their healthcare infrastructure is way behind the developed world. And so we can create very useful medical AI for them. But part of this goal is to then archive data from these African countries online for researchers around the world to study. Because in medical AI, it's only as smart as the data you feed it. And a very common problem is called data bias. That is, most medical data is from North American or European white males. So if you're not male, you're not white, and you're not from North America or Eastern Europe, AI models are going to be inaccurate for you, right? Which is a justice issue. So our movement is not just to bring medical AI to Africa because their infrastructure really needs it, but also to archive data. right, to reduce data bias. And so I'll post a link for you to buy a t-shirt. It's 15 bucks. It ships directly to you. And I appreciate if you spread the word for us. That's it.
Thanks, Dave. And it makes sense, and appreciate you pitching. Up next is Frederick.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Frederick Abramson, the founder of Golden Thread Technology. We're addressing a family disaster that haunts parents for years. It's when their child is playing in a sport and gets severely hurt, like getting a concussion or tearing an ACL. What's new to help solve this problem is that genetic scientists are discovering genes that impact injury risks in sport, like the gene that increases concussion risk by 300%, or genes that impact the risk of ACL injuries. At Golden Thread, we're applying these powerful discoveries with a focused system that pinpoints risks of injury and then provides specific actions aimed at lowering the risks. Because the bottom line is that in the US alone, 1 in 8 kid athletes suffer injuries that require medical attention. And when a really bad thing happens, what's left is guilt and a bunch of what ifs that never disappear. I'm a Michigan PhD in human genetics and population planning and an MIT Sloan Fellow with decades of hands-on experience in computers, technology, business, and healthcare. Our platform is being built around an issued US patent. We have a patent pending. We're seeking seed funding of $350,000 to $500,000 range to launch our MVP and start generating revenues immediately. Again, Frederick Abramson from Golden Thread Technology. Information is in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Frederick. Any quick questions? Do I hear somebody opening their mic? No. All right, Frederick, you'll meet everybody in the chat. You know the drill. Thank you so much. Daniela, you're up next.
Sorry, I was drinking my tea. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mark, once more. I am Daniela Tsa. I am a fashion designer. I came from a family related with fashion. We are shoemakers since my grandfather. And alongside working with my father, I realized the high standards for the luxury brands. Actually, we were producing for brands like Gucci, Versace, and other fashion brands. And there I learn and I get all the knowledge about the high standards for the luxury brands. And I decided to create my own brand, putting together the luxury with sustainable materials. So at this moment, I created Naja Fashion, which put together all this craftsman knowledge with sustainable materials like organic cotton, upcycled fabric from marine litter, recycled polyester. I have a huge knowledge about sustainable and recycled materials. And the biggest goal is to bring awareness of the high polluting of the fashion industry. So is to bring a new brand and a new concept for the fashion industry and to be the next Louis Vuitton with sustainable concept. So this is our goal. The concept is already created, is already having traction in the market. Our biggest issue is to bring brand awareness of the brand to the market. So we are raising 1 million to have for the investment mainly on the marketing department and to let the brand be known in the market, in the fashion market.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Meet Daniela in the chat then. We'll move on. Next up is David.
David Stewart, I hope.
Yep. Oh,
okay.
No, I'm sorry. Not David. I'm sorry. Too many Davids. David Hirschfeld.
Okay.
If you look at the gallery version, you'll know where you are in the queue. Sorry. Versus the speaker version of Zoom. It's just FYI. Okay, David, you're up next.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, I'm David Hirschfeld. I founded Techies, a software development firm 16 years ago. Worked with close to 60 startups during that time. A few of them very successful, but the vast majority failed. And they all fail for the same reason. They don't know how to find product market fit. They wait way too long to start to try to generate revenue from their product. They don't get enough input from the market, even those that try to use the lean startup method. This led me to creating a methodology called Launch First. With Launch First, we bring startups from software startups from concept to revenue in just a few months before writing a line of code. We use this as a way of proving product market fit and building a sales marketing engine that, assuming we get to viability, then we have a proven product market fit. And that's our trigger to begin developing the application. And we use that revenue to help us fund development, more requiring less of a dependency on investment. So with Launch First, I have 5 markets that I can potentially target. Obviously, software startups who are still in the concept phase and have at least enough funding to go through the Launch First process. Software startups who have launched but are failing to find product market fit and panicking and scrambling and pivoting. Existing companies looking to develop new products and they want to prove product market fit early. Using this as a methodology for corporate innovation centers and for investors or VCs that would invest in really early stage nascent startups if they could dramatically mitigate their risk. And I'm looking for someone who has the connections to make it happen in one of these markets.
Thank you, David. I've actually dived deep with David, and if any of you are developing a software product, you might want to talk to him because he has brilliant ideas from an investor perspective to be able to see traction early and not have to guess if it's going to come. It's really intriguing. I think he's amazing. Does anybody have any quick questions of David?
Thank you, Mark.
You can meet David. Oh, go ahead if you have a question.
Hi, David. So with regards to your startup, basically you would be providing a service, correct?
I'm providing a service, that's right.
Okay, so that's actually really attractive. I'm actually here to pitch today, but I've had many points where I've wanted to do what you're describing. And I agree with you about the fact that most businesses fail, due to, market, not a good market fit, essentially, really. But I just want to add to that. I'd like to connect with you in the future on some ideas that I have for software. I have a background in physics, and I'll leave it at that so we don't take up too much time. But thanks, okay. And I'll find your contact info in the chat and get in touch with you.
And I'll paste it all back in again just to make it.
Yeah, David, you're pasting it in as a private message to me, so double check your chat.
That might not.
Good call.
That might not be effective. That's not a really good effective marketing technique, I think.
All right, we're
okay. Now it's to everybody.
Now everybody knows how to reach Dave. It's worth listening to him present. He's really interesting. Thank you, David. Up next is Tino.
Thanks, Mark.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tino Go. I founded this company called Baru. And so we are an Industry 4.0 and carbon negative manufacturing platform. So we're a digital manufacturing platform for on-demand manufacturing. What we're doing is we're leveraging really commonplace but highly underused robotics all over the United States, all over the world. And so what we do is we sell products that we can make on other people's machines. And so that way we can avoid all of the shipping and handling that occurs with centralized manufacturing. And we're starting with cabinetry and non-upholstered furniture. So we've got sales and manufacturing in 29 cities around the US already. So we're already within an hour drive of 100 million customers, homes and businesses. And we're selling our cabinetry products through dealers and also through directly. Year-to-date sales are in the 6 figures, and we're doing our first project to supply a 43-store remodeling franchise And that's a relationship that can be valued at between 15 and growing to up to $60 million a year. So we've got a patent. The patent is unique because it allows any non-technical user to use augmented reality as a configurator of the custom manufacturing. And so change the image and have the manufacturing change dynamically. And so the Department of Defense is interested in, well, they're socializing. I have a couple of program managers that are socializing it at various agencies to alleviate their supply chain problems and the fact that kinetic situations in war need to be addressed immediately. And this is a really good way of doing that. That's it. And I'll put my information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Tino. Does anybody have any quick questions? You'll meet Tino in chat next. Okay, so up next is Isaac.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isaac Adejuan, and I'm a co-founder and CEO at MetrixFlow. We're web analytics for enterprise teams. The problem we're solving is a cookie problem. At least 40% of data is lost every day just because users block and delete cookies. As a result, about $10 billion is lost on the internet, and as well as there's an impact on the $370 billion industry. The solution we're bringing to market is a cookieless solution that replaces the cookies entirely in a privacy-friendly way and connects every user to companies in a privacy-friendly way. I actually grew up in Africa, and the first piece of technology I ever owned was a flash drive. And while I was growing up, I was very fascinated by how you could take a flash drive and use that to get information from the cafes that we had back in my community. And through that, I was able to immigrate to Canada, where I studied electrical engineering. And while I was a student there, I built this website that reached over 300,000 unique visitors. And through that process, I found that people were blocking and deleting cookies, and that was causing at least 40% of data to be lost every day on the web. I wanted to solve the problem, so I converted my platform into a test environment, and I launched MetrixFlow. Since we started, we've deployed to companies across Canada, US, and Japan. And we've also went on, when we got to about $50,000 in revenue, a lot of the customers are coming to us to say, can you take this data you have now and provide it in an environment where we're already making business decisions? And what we did was we took that information and went on and partnered with Salesforce. And so today, we've actually breached that relationship back between users and companies, and we're connecting the flows back within organizations. In terms of attraction, we've deployed across Canada, US, and Japan. Our customers are typically companies who have in-house marketing teams that produce content. They're based in the US. They use Salesforce CRM. In terms of raise, we've raised about $1 million in angel and pre-seed, and we're now looking to raise our seed round. Thank you.
Okay, I really like what you're doing, Isaac. I've heard this now twice this week. So, and I heard the deep dive, which is amazing. Does anybody have any questions of Isaac?
Yeah, so Isaac, I wasn't quite clear. I'm a software engineer myself. I wasn't quite clear on the solution that your product is bringing to bear into market regarding what you're doing with the cookies. I didn't quite get the clarity in your pitch.
Great, I'll clarify on that. So the way the product works is we give our clients 7 lines of JavaScript. They place that in a similar way to how they would deploy analytics to their current assets, digital assets. It allows us, MetrixFlow, to collect over 60 data points from every interaction with users on these platforms. We're very fortunate we have Microsoft invest in kind in us. It allowed us to build out our cloud infrastructure where we're able to store all first-party data. We're then taking this raw data and we're feeding it into models we've built in the cloud. And it's allowing us to create unique anonymous identifiers in the cloud without ever using any cookie. And then as users fill up forms and as they convert, we're then able to feed that into Salesforce through our partnership with Salesforce.
Oh, so this is based on the assumption that the users is not going to turn off the cookies, thereby send information to the particular website. And the websites, before they lose the data, your systems allow them to be able to capture that data and aggregate it?
There's no cookie involved, just raw data collected, get into our model, create unique. It's more of a recognition technique we're using. No cookie ever involved, just raw data collected. Once it goes through our model, it becomes a unique profile, unique identifier. And that's how we're able to replace web cookies.
I started a chat on LinkedIn. I posted my information inside of the chat here.
Thanks.
Hi,
Isaac. Go ahead.
Oh, just real quick, Mark. Hi, Isaac. Blake Wind here. It's a little outside of my main space, but I would definitely like to see a deck. Just to double check, how much are you raising?
We're currently raising $2 million. We do have a significant piece of it already soft circled.
Okay, sounds good. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I dumped it in the chat, but I can send it to you again if you need. And I'd love to see a deck. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Blake.
Anybody else real quick? Thank you, Isaac, for coming, and I hope you get a chance to meet some great people in our community. We're going to move on. Next up is Cheryl.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here, and thank you, Mark and Alan, for putting this together. It's been a while. Nice to be connected to you again. I'm Cheryl, and I'm the CEO of Joppa Health, and I really look forward to helping all of you and the rest of the world optimize your vitality with non-pharmaceutical lifestyle practices. And as such, I'm building the Amazon of wellness. And at Joppa Health, we're raising $2 million at a $14 million valuation. We closed a 7-figure seed round with a publicly traded strategic partner earlier this year. And we have built a really impressive back end and front end, actually. But the back end is what we're the most proud of. It is data infrastructure and a personalized suggestion engine to help you understand how to optimize your vitality. We also have a marketplace for content creators to contribute their educational content to help support that process. And our product market fit is really a lead generation type of marketplace where we connect the consumers on their journey, learning how to optimize their wellness, overcome chronic conditions, and just feel better and have the best possible energy with products and services that can help them on their journey. And we predict that we will be around 12 million in revenue through our marketplace in our 3rd year. You can go and check out a demo of our first offering, which is demo.joppa.health, to get your vitality score, your Joppa Health vitality score, and personalized suggestions for you. What we don't have now is the full marketplace with all of the products and services that are coming. And we also don't yet have the ability to connect your health records or your wearable data, which is what we will be using the raise for. So that's Joppa Health, and I hope you guys all go and check it out, demo.joppa.health, get your vitality score. And I would love your feedback. And I also made a bunch of notes here, and my COO, Lena, is in the audience because I noticed a lot of other presenters would be really good partners as well. So if you think that you have a startup or a company or a product, or you know of one that's in the wellness space, or you're part of a large organization that you would want to deploy Joppa Health to your community in any way, whether it's customers or employees, please get in touch with us as we're starting to grow our ecosystem. And I'm excited to hear your questions if you have any.
Nice. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Apologize, my office is getting worked on, so I don't have the video on tonight, but I have a question about the EHR connectivity that you're looking to do. Now, is this something that will be built in-house, or is this something that you plan to kind of partner with another organization that already has developed a similar format that you can use as a partnership to do the connection? Or are you going to be actually building that tech and working across the dynamics that are involved in HIPAA and all the other regulatory effects that you have across the different industries within healthcare?
Thank you for asking that question. Our infrastructure is inherently HIPAA compliant. We've built everything to, exceed the standards because we anticipated that of course would become, part of what we're doing and part of the way that we create trust with consumers and partners, even if we're not subject to that compliance. But specifically to answer your question, the most likely path for us is to partner with an EHR, and we actually have one that we're in serious talks with already. But who knows down the line if we end up building more of our own IP around that. But initially, it looks like we're going to partner.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else real quick?
Question.
Yep.
Did you mention that, and hi, and thanks for listening. You mentioned that you $1 million at a $14 million post valuation?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Could you repeat your question?
Yes. Did you mention that you were raising $2 million at a $14 million post valuation?
It's the $14 million will be the pre-money for this raise.
Oh, the $14 million is the pre-money.
Pre-money for this raise, because we did a seed, a price round already, and that was $8 million, and it was an $8 million pre-money for the seed.
Got it. So what was the valuation on the prior round?
The pre-money was 8, and the post-money is a little over 10.
A little over 10. Right. Interesting. So your investors from the first round, I was looking on your Crunchbase, was that a single investor or a group of investors?
So I raised $245,000 from friends and family in a pre-seed convertible note. And then the seed, which included that 245, was 1.245. And my strategic investor came in at $1 million.
Got it. Last question. So this round is a distribution of preferred stock or
probably common.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to need to move on. Cheryl, you can meet everybody in the chat. It's so great to see you here. Thank you so much. Next
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Next up is Breck.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate what you're doing here. This is fantastic and been some amazing presentations. I know several of the people that are here tonight and can echo your praises for like David's program and others in the healthcare space. I am in healthcare myself. I consider myself a healthcare disruptor. I'm out of Phoenix, Arizona, and our system is ripe for disruption. And so I'm doing my best to help in that area. I'm also a patient advocate and the founder of the Fountain of Youth, or FOI Therapy. So I get to work with healthcare professionals that are helping their patients live longer and feel better, but most importantly, get better. We're combining the traditional Western medicine and science with holistic and bringing those into a health hub. So it's a turnkey practice, health practice with a national provider network. It's prescribed by doctors. And our chief medical officer is a osteopath, so he's more interested in getting to the root cause of where the disease state is coming from and correcting that. So we start with a pharmacogenomics PGX test to identify the DNA of the patient that we're working with, and we start to de-prescribe. I have a network of 20,000 community pharmacies. For the last 20 years, we've been prescribing. Now we're de-prescribing. We're actually getting patients off of medications that they just can't properly metabolize. The reports come back very clear. It tells us which medications are green meds to move forward with, which ones are in yellow, proceed with caution, and which ones are in red, they may end up killing that patient. So we need to immediately get them off of those medications. We also, so that gives us the overall focus of their DNA and what they can metabolize and what they can't. But then we get a snapshot of today, what is going on with that patient. And that's done through blood testing and analyzing the markers in the blood that tells us, okay, here's the deficiencies. Now we need to make up for those deficiencies. During the flu and cold season and coronavirus, we see a lot of additional zinc that needs to be added into patients. So the way I picture this is a little bit like the analogy would be when your house is on fire and you need to put out that fire, you don't call a contractor, don't call a plumber, you call the fire department. And the fire department comes and what do? They put out that fire for you. Hopefully they catch it in time to save the structure. That's our Western medicine. We do put out fires. We save lives but we do a lot of damage in the process. That fireman just soaked all of your furniture, ruined things on the walls. You've got to pull up the carpet and the pad, and then what's the next step? You got to call in the contractor to fix that. That's the more holistic approach, to put back those building blocks to help patients actually not just feel better, which is what a lot of our prescription medicines do today, is mask the symptoms, but we're actually getting to the root cause and helping that patient get better. And so it's called the Fountain of Youth. We're rolling it out to community pharmacies, health hubs to compete with the minute clinics of the big national chains. And even Walmart is now putting in health clinics into your neighborhood Walmart store. So we'll be competing in that space, but with a tremendous group of community pharmacies that serve a specific community. So that's voice therapy in a nutshell. There's, I'm sure, a lot more that I could talk about it, but I want to be respectful of the time. So my information is in the chat. I have my Calendly link. Please just click on that link and schedule some time with me.
Okay, very nice. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, how much are you raising and what stage are you at exactly with this, Rick?
Yeah, we are self-funding this. So I'm a founder of another company that we self-funded as well. So we're self-funding this, but I'll never turn down money if it's the right relationship. And we're the stage is that we've rolled out the first 10 locations, but 10 out of the 40,000 pharmacy partners that we hope to take this to.
Yeah, hi, Breck. This is me. Oh, sorry. Oh, I apologize.
Go ahead, Mina.
Yeah, just a quick question. I mean, how do you compete? Because I've dealt with Walmart Health and CB Health for other startups. How do you compete in that space in terms of do you provide telehealth, or how is it in terms of walk-in clinics? What's your strategy on that?
Yeah, we do use telehealth. We have a national telehealth provider that's doing the prescribing, and where we beat the big chains is that we're working with the independent community pharmacies, which are the most trusted healthcare advisor today, even over their own PCP or primary care provider. They have a relationship with their patients.
Okay, we're going to have to move on, but please come to our November 5th Life Science event, and that might be appropriate for you and Cheryl, who was just up as well. We're going to move on. Next up is Loic.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Getting my feet wet in the startup business. My background is in architecture and project lead for multi-use projects. I've worked with teams across the world. And I've now stepped in position to one of the more challenging industries that we are faced with, and that's the gaming industry. Our accessible market we're looking at, genre specific, is the mobile game genre, which is a $500 million industry. And specifically, we are looking to solve this problem that has grown in the last 2-3 years, and that lies within Web3 game developments, which is facing currently a very challenging time in terms of the general perception of the space and going forward. How we're approaching this is looking at solving the big issue, which is most of the games that were released, specifically, first one comes to mind, Axie Infinity, was very much orientated on a failing tokenomic system that paid out their users. Rather than going through that route, we are looking at enabling internal and external markets and working with fee transactions as a mean of monetization through the game. Essentially, we are using Web3 as new technology to further enhance gameplay and bring it to the new development space. Currently, we have released our mini game that is live. We've developed our community, and we are looking to build up our studio to do a full title release over a 2-year plan span, with the demo planned to be released in a 6 to 8 months timeframe.
How much are you looking to raise?
So currently we're doing a mixed raising of token raise with a pre-seed of 450 within a private and public sales that go up higher. And we are also doing an equity raise with 20% equity available on the table at a 3 million opening.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have one person for you. Have you been in touch with Cecilia Lee?
No, I can't say I have.
Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll probably be able to do that for you in 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Blake. I always like your ideas and participation. Anybody else have a quick question for Loic? Then we're going to move on. You can meet people in the chat. Thanks for coming. Up next is Benjamin.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate this. And thank you, May, for inviting me. Hope to participate in all the events coming up. My name is Benjamin. I'm the CEO of Chariot Payments. And Chariot, basically, we took a distributed ledger technology and created the most advanced peer-to-peer payment system in the world. We're moving payments off of the 1980s payment rails, which currently slow down our economy, and of course, are not helping us build the future economies of tomorrow. For the past 15 years or so, all of our world has expanded thanks to these devices. We're on massively scalable platforms that connect hundreds of millions of businesses to billions of accounts worldwide. But unfortunately, payments have been kept back in the 20th century and have not changed their technologies. We took a distributed ledger technology, which is the foundation of blockchain, removed the blockchain, removed the crypto, and connected it to a bank to enable ultra scalable, super secure, instant settlement, cross-currency payments, and we only require one bank per currency zone. So obviously the use case for this is major, but my first clients, my first applications and installations are actually in the DeFi space, that's decentralized finance, where we can basically put a fiat ATM inside of any digital wallet, akin to the 1980s when ATMs left banks and moved into 7-Elevens, massively lowered friction of commerce, massively expanded the ability for people to transact with ease, lowered friction, and that's what we're doing. So I have a number of clients that I'm actually launching with, state channels, integrations. I have a massive portfolio suite for cross-currency payments, hybrid centralized payment network, the whole nine. I'd love to show you more. And we are currently raising a convertible note right now between 2.5 to 3 million, which will bridge us over to launch. We'll be live with our bank in less than a month. We're currently live now, but doing all the testing and stress testing right now, and handing the APIs off to our first clients for Q1 launches. And then we'll be generating revenue long before we actually have to open the Series A. That convertible note would give me about 12 to 14 months of runway. I'm located up in the Boston, Mass area, and I'd love to chat with anybody. And a quick note, I see Adam Grill is making comments about Startupalooza. Couldn't recommend it more. I did that event a number of times in 2015, 2016, and great community there. Adam and Alan do wonderful work. So I highly recommend any startups to pitch, get your pitch practice on and join those wonderful events. So would love to share more. So if there are any questions, please, I'll take them now.
Okay, thank you, Benjamin. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, Benjamin. This is Duran. My camera is off now because I'm walking around. So you mentioned that you removed the blockchain, so how does it work as far as the PCI compliance? One, and if you're connected to the bank, is this not a traditional P2P service similar to that of Cash App? Lastly, what about the reserves? Because I know like one of the bigger issues that Cash App had when they were growing was how much capital they had to have in reserve just for the mere fact of the transaction of volume. So how does it work regarding those three elements? Because I didn't understand the part where you say you removed the blockchain and crypto.
Sure, good questions. DLT, or distributed ledger technology, is the underlying foundation to blockchains. It's the ledger system. But to work with a bank, they do not like cryptocurrencies, and blockchains are not designed to scale. The number one feature that we really focused on was scalability. Because if you've got people with millions, tens of millions of followers on Instagram or something, and they post a picture, they're doing a charity event, if 1% of those people try to send a message, that hundreds of thousands of people will lock up the Visa rails, which currently run the entire planet's global commerce. So you can see why payments have never been able to be side by side with these massive platforms that we all live on. So we took the blockchain and the crypto off because the banks don't like the crypto. Blockchain is not designed to scale, and we attach our DLT basically to a banking core. I want to get into the next question you asked. We do not, when it comes to compliance, we've designed the entire compliance package for each current currency zone. My compliance advisors are actually the #1 and the head of Reg E compliance at US Bank, which is the 5th largest bank in the United States. In regards to the, and I can detail the compliance features with you on a personal call. That's wicked technical. And then the last thing was, I think you mentioned about reserves. So we don't allow chargebacks. The biggest component of fraud in peer-to-peer systems, why the banks hate that Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, is because of the massive amounts of fraud that are on there. It's so easy to send friendly fraud and do chargebacks. We don't allow that on our system, and I would kind of be able to show you a wireframe of how we connect to the bank and how every transaction on our ledger is just instant settlements. That's key, and that's what makes us an instant settlement cross-currency payment system, allow you to move money between currency zones like that at extremely low cost because we own the network from the ground up. So I'd love to detail more with anybody if there are any other questions.
Yes, my LinkedIn is durandavis.com. My first and last name takes you directly to my LinkedIn. I
I
definitely
can see
want
your profile. Lovely.
some of those areas. Thanks for answering those questions. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anybody else have a question of Benjamin?
Yeah, Benjamin, I'd like to connect with you also. Not to take up too much time, but I have an idea for you because my friend Trisha over at Techstars is running their FinTech Accelerator. And even though it looks like you might be too developed to join the accelerator itself, she would probably be extremely interested to hear from you and would have some recommendations for you, I believe.
Great. Anybody else real quick?
I was just gonna, this is Jacob. I just wanted to throw in there, would it be correct to say that essentially what you're proposing is, you know, a liquidity thing? So like, you know, basically instant liquidity over various market domains.
Okay, I want to apologize. The last, my computer, I think, lagged at the end of the last question. So thank you for the reference to Techstars. I'll look into it. I'll connect with you online. And Jacob, yeah, this is essentially peer-to-peer liquidity. And again, I would model how it fits inside of a wallet, but it really cuts out all the fat on the transaction side for the fiat processing, like point of sale, gateway, processors, interchange, card networks, merchant bank, receiving banks, with the way that we architect with the bank. And then on the DeFi side, if you're talking about installing inside of a decentralized financial wallet, it cuts out the Coinbase, MetaMask, you know, non-custodial wallets, all of that as well, because we can confirm an instant fiat settlement, which can then send a trigger over to move the asset. So again, this is complicated, but I'd love to show you more about how we do it. But it is a way of liquidity provider, but it's peer-to-peer liquidity.
If this works, then that would be big, huge.
Okay, we're going to have to move on because we have a lot of people that still want to pitch and just only a certain amount of time. So next up is Ahmed.
Hey, everyone. My name is Ahmed Zobi. I'm the CEO of Center Health Technologies. We're a medical device company that is premises on harnessing the power of your own fat tissue to aid in treating aging-related conditions. The problem in the medical world today is that there's a lot of solutions for multiple ailments in the human body, but there isn't a true platform technology that can target various ailments. And that's where we're here. We're targeting a major bottleneck in the advancing of medicine in the world. We've developed an automated fat processing system that's currently FDA cleared for over 12 surgical specialties. We've conducted multiple clinical trials in humans that we've seen safety and efficacy, such as in wound healing, knee osteoarthritis, and even aesthetic and volume rejuvenation in the face. And we're planning to expand into others such as hair regrowth, veterinary market, and other industries as well. We're raising a round of funding right now, Series A, of about $12 million. And we're looking to talk to multiple investors and try to close this round as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any quick questions?
I do, yes. Where are you at on the FDA approval process?
So we already have FDA clearance, so we don't need any further FDA approvals or clearances.
And under what category?
You mean the product class category?
Correct.
Yes, we are an MUU product code.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Please come to our November 5th event.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay, up next is Sal.
Hi, everyone. Sal Celli. I'm the founder of Maximus Consulting Group, which is a tech-driven health and wellness platform that enables individuals and businesses to maximize potential, human potential. We all know that depression and anxiety is costing taxpayers over $1 trillion a year in lost productivity. So what we developed is a tech-based platform that enables you to lead a better, more balanced and fulfilled life. We've removed the excuses of geography, not having access to leading experts, as well as cost. And now we've eliminated excuses. It's a 4-year-old company. It is revenue producing, and we are looking at a pre-seed round. We have bootstrapped it with funds on my own, but we are looking at a pre-seed round of about $250,000. It is a B2B and B2C global offering with a SaaS platform. It's hosted in AWS, no infrastructure, and it's annual recurring revenue with monthly subscription plans. So my email is info@maximusconsultinggroup.com, and I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal. Does anybody have any quick questions? Sal, you'll meet people in chat like everybody else does. Thank you for coming. Up next is Warren.
Thanks.
You're mute. You're still on mute. Would love to hear you.
Hi, my name is Warren. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Warren. I have a degree at Cal Berkeley where I studied the gut microbiome. At Infant Nutrition, we are creating an infant formula with baby in mind. The United States is in a baby formula shortage. The other day I went into a Target and the empty shelves in the baby formula aisle were they were all empty. In fact, the FDA is encouraging companies to produce baby formula because it's clear that the demand for this product is high on a national level. Making baby formula is actually an easy process. There is very little research that needs to be done, as the FDA has made it clear that they want to do this product. Baby formula is made from cow's milk and 23 vitamins and minerals. It's a dried product. It is packaged in type of bottle you could imagine supplements are sold in. Baby formula is like food in that it, while it undergoes inspection, it doesn't actually need FDA approval. Baby formula is incredibly helpful to starting families as it gives some time away from breastfeeding. The background of this product is that Abbott Labs and other companies sold baby formula with 2 soluble fats that were actually making babies sick, LHA and DHA, which forced many recalls you may have read in the newspapers. While Abbott and other companies are researching these fats and could take years of clinical, relies on the safest ingredients and can fill those shelves in stores, while many products in the industry are off the market. So your investment would be helpful in getting the infant nutrition development of a formula, transferring into manufacturing, and putting infant nutrition on shelves in major retailers.
Okay, thank you, Warren. Does anybody have any quick questions? Warren, we will meet you in the chat. Thank you very much for pitching us. Up next is Jacob.
Let me see here. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, hi. Okay, my name's Jacob. I founded a company called Shibalba Technological Solutions, and it's concerned with 3D printing. So I have a background in applied mathematics and physics. And one of the major issues of today, obviously, is energy. Energy is huge. When people are talking about renewable energy or oil or whatever, what's really important in terms of energy is energy density. And I have a the concept has already been proven. There's research, I won't go into the details here, but you can increase the energy density of a battery cell by up to 400% theoretically by, you know, the geometry of electrolyte exposure to the cathode and anodes of the given battery. And in addition to that, there's many form factors you can put it in. Like one, the example I like to use is like with an electric aircraft or an aircraft carrier, or like a commercial flight, you could actually have an electric one if you made the fuselage and the body of the aircraft the battery, and that can be done with 3D printing. So that's the idea. And in addition to that, we're concerned with producing a product and or services in bioprinting. So right now the focus is on filaments, like patented filaments, and that isn't the way that we are ever going to print anything with more than 3 degrees of freedom or more than 3 cell types. We really need to change our focus on bioprinting if we're ever to print something as complex as a kidney or something like that, which has 16 different cell types. We need to change the focus on being able to differentiate stem cells at the time they are deposited from a 3D printer. And also the 3D printers that they used are, well, I know that's changing very quickly, but the Delta type configuration of a 3D printer, which I'll, right there is the Delta type. So it's a cylindrical coordinate system that is ideal for medical applications because of speed, and it's not, in terms of components, it has the least amount of components and it would be the most reliable. So that's kind of my elevator pitch. I'm seeking partnerships, investment. I'm currently working with 2 individuals and I really need to just scale this up. I need to take the research that has already been done, scale this up, and apply it to any market that uses batteries and energy.
Okay, does anybody have any questions?
Actually, yeah, I have something really quickly. Jacob, did you hear about SOSV?
No.
I'd like to connect you with someone who might be interested in what you're building. How much are you looking to raise exactly?
As much as humanly possible.
Sounds good. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll give you a pointer to someone I know who would like to hear more.
Okay, that would be great. What was your name?
Blake Wind. I'm the only Blake Wind on the platform, I think. So I'm
pretty sure you are.
All right, Blake, I will definitely be in touch. Thank you.
I will say that as much as humanly possible is probably the only time I've heard that answer since we started this community. Pretty interesting anyways. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Well, the market is so huge that
I think we got what your intent of that message is. Thank you, Jacob, for participating. We're going to move on. Our next presenter is May, and thank you, May, for being a co-sponsor of this event. I haven't even met you yet, but I understand through Luke that you've already, invited a lot of your first connections to our community. So thank you on behalf of our entire community.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share our project and continue networking with individuals from this group. Hi, everyone. My name is May Mahboob. I am the co-founder of MBD Financials. And what we're developing is a completely photorealistic, decentralized business district in the metaverse. It's a mouthful. But the goal of the project is to empower every individual to create their own financial ecosystem. Now, what does a photorealistic metaverse business district look like? Our goal is to be able to onboard as many individuals outside of the cryptocurrency, blockchain, and various other industries through not only education, but integrating from Web 2 to a Web 3 space. We call it Web 2.5. which starts with NFTs. So creating, onboarding businesses, and as well as whether it's brick and mortar, service industry, offices, various locations where we're able to provide that, being accessibility agnostic, where we're able to provide that platform as well as a new virtual e-commerce system within the metaverse. We have a huge social impact cause behind our platform, which is to be able to provide accessibility of resources to developing communities and developing countries globally. And the way we aim to achieve that is by utilizing the entire loyalty program that's in regular general industry and integrating that within a Web3 environment by learn to earn gamification of various platforms. Imagine us being the search protector of the metaverse. So we don't aim to do this all on our own. We integrate with other projects, other solutions to really create an ecosystem where we're able to provide the ultimate solutions and continue to have users come onto our platform and utilize it. We have already secured 10 million for our seed round. Currently, we're raising an additional 500,000 remainder via token purchase program, which is the how we raised our 10 million as well. And we will be launching our very first platform in about within the next 60 days, which is an NFT Boulevard, and have numerous number of projects and organizations that have signed on. We're also one of the very first metaverse project to be connected to a United Nations Sustainable Development 2030 initiative, which is to create anywhere between 10 to 20 smart cities in 7 different continents in the next 20 years. So we'll be creating those digital twins of those cities, and whether it's real estate in various industries, and connecting it. That's a little bit about our project. Happy to take any questions.
Nice presentation, May. Anybody have any questions?
Sorry, just to kind of throw it in there, projects like Benjamin's actually, Chariot is one of our partners where we'll be integrating the wallet payment processing within our technology and within what we're doing in the space to be able to have that fiat transaction.
Okay, now I get why you both are here today. Perfect. Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, if no one else has anything. May, I'm not sure. Are you connected to Cecilia? Have you heard of her? Because I think she'd be interested in this one too.
I might be. I'm not 100% sure, but I can reach out to you, Blake. And
sure. Let's get connected on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to hear more.
Perfect.
Anybody else real quickly? Thank you, May, for coming. Really appreciate it. Always welcome to come back. And up next is David Stewart.
There it is. Hi, everyone. I presented my Surf the Web project the last time I was here, a few weeks or months ago, I can't remember. It's coming along good. We've got an investment banker interested in it. We've got a couple companies we're partnering with. But I've got a new project I'm real excited about. It's Costa Rica Blue Water. It's water from the blue zone in Costa Rica. There's only 5 blue zones in the whole world. And that's where people live to be over 100 years old at a higher percentage than anywhere else. And the water in this blue zone is one of the reasons. So I'm looking for working or silent partners or investors for this project. I'll put the link in the chat.
Thanks, David. You can meet David and learn more there in the chat. Up next is Amit.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Mark, for giving me this opportunity to pitch my platform. I'm developing a talent show in India. India has the biggest population, and there is a huge gap between the talent show and the entertainment market. I already have my production house, and my awards festival. We recently executed the 6th B&Half Awards and Festival. So I have a complete vertical that is in place. I'm looking to raise $220,000 over a period of 3 years. And from the 4th year onwards, I'm looking to make a gross revenue of $1.25 million. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody have a quick question? I'm sorry, I'm rushing through the question period because I want to make sure we end on time tonight. So you can meet in the chat. Up next is James, who is one of my favorites. I'm glad you're here, James. Go ahead.
Good to see you again. James Lupino here. I'm a co-founder and director of a company called Risk AI, which is a joint venture of two IP companies, Modal Technology Corp and TACO Holdings. We are going to be the first OEM supplier of hardware that's going to commercialize a disruptive AI technology. You may know that the AI industry is on an unsustainable pathway. The models are getting very complex. The data is huge. Everyone's worried about the carbon footprint. And as the grandfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, says, we just need to throw it out and start all over again. And Modal has developed a new math approach to training AI. The current algorithm out there for training is called gradient descent. It's a statistical random approach to starting a training process, and you keep trying many iterations until you think you have an okay solution or ran out of money paying for the computer bill. What Nate Hayes, the CEO of Modal, has done is come up with a method using a new area of mathematics called modal interval arithmetic that guarantees you find the optimum solution in a single run. This is very disruptive for the industry. It does need an ASIC chip because the method employed uses interval numbers, not floating points. So we have to modify the circuits a tiny bit in the multipliers in order for it to be efficient. This is a proven technology. There are some cases that small models that have been done already. An excellent use case up in McGill University, identifying biomarkers. Another advantage of the technology is the output is explainable. That's a topic of high interest right now in the AI industry. Why are you getting a result? AI models are referred to as a black box, and what our technology does is opens up and makes it a glass box. So we're raising up to $35 million in today's environment. That sounds like as much as humanly possible, but we can take 10 million chunks and go a long way. Actually, we had some interesting news lately, Mark. Modal Technology was one of 18 companies selected recently in the New Space Igniter program down in Albuquerque. We will be introduced to several contractors and companies involved in national security and ensuring we win the new race for the new space race. So nice. We're looking for CEOs that can raise the money with a phone call, and partners and customers. So please reach out to me. I'll put the links in the chat to my contact, as well as the news that I just announced.
That's great news, and congrats to you and Susan for that. That's really amazing to hear. I believe in both of you. Does anybody have any quick questions?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead first. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I just wanted to refer to the technology you were describing with the floating point numbers. So I was also part of my undergraduate was computational physics, and so this new mathematics you say, what's it called again?
It's based on set theory, interval arithmetic, which was actually developed in the 50s and 60s. Okay. And Nate Hayes spent 6 years on the IEEE committee to come up with standards for interval arithmetic. The latest form of interval arithmetic is called modal interval arithmetic. And even that, Nate perfected it for nonlinear optimization problems. That's essentially what Alex is, our technology.
Yeah.
Solving
So-
nonlinear optimization problems in a single run.
So yeah, artificial neural networks essentially, or machine learning or AI or whatever you want to call it, they have these nodes which hold different weights, and that's the mechanism at which they learn. But I guess what my major question is why is the floating point arithmetic a big issue here?
It's not so much the floating point, it's the gradient descent algorithm is the issue. It's statistic, it's random. You start at a random starting point and you don't know where you end up.
Yeah.
With modal interval arithmetic, the technique Nate developed, you're guaranteed to find the optimum solution. Guaranteed.
So there's an analytical solution no matter what.
Exactly. It could be the N versus NP problem if you're that scientific.
I think this is a really big topic. It's going to take more than just a quickie conversation. If you'd like to circle back with James with those technical questions.
Okay. Thank you, James.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, just a real quick question. What for proof of concept, what industry did you target for this?
Well, there's
because I know AI's.
There's a use case. You can go to Modal's. I'll put Modal's website. You can go and look at the McGill work for biomarkers. And there's also pathological test cases that have been proven, all in software emulation, which is very slow.
Okay, I think we're gonna thank you, James. I think we're gonna move on just because of timing, even though I love this topic so much. David, you're up next. And by the way, David, your background has been spectacular. Whatever you did, like really, really impressed just watching it when you had it looping or in, the video earlier. Go ahead, give us your presentation. Thanks. You're on mute though.
Thank you. Yes, it's entertaining. So, all right. So, I'm David Peczkowski, and I'm the founder of DapperCare, early stage startup, healthcare technology startup. So, in 2019, I was diagnosed with cluster headaches, which is also known as the suicide disease. And it's extremely debilitating. It's a type of a migraine that comes on where you have pain in your face, and it's terrible. I don't wish it on anybody. But after trying to see a specialist and searching high and low for one, I finally was able to get a referral through my wife that works at Stanford Hospital. And the earliest appointment I could get was 8 months out, and which is crazy considering what I was dealing with. But anyways,
David, we seem to have lost your signal. You're frozen. And you're still frozen for a reason.
Yeah. Healthcare system is.
There you go. You're back. Okay.
Why did I lose you?
Yeah, you froze in the system. We kind of lost a few words there, but go ahead.
Oh, bummer. Okay, I'm on borrowed Wi-Fi here at the conference. So, yeah. So after that experience, basically, it made me realize how broken and antiquated the healthcare system is today, and the process that individuals have to go through to get help, and how cumbersome and expensive it is. And patients are losing patience in the healthcare industry in general. They're tired of the system not putting them first. So people are struggling to get the care they need when they need it, when it comes to addressing sensitive health issues. Embarrassing doctor's visits are inconvenient, costly, and inaccessible to the average American. So I wanted to develop a solution to this problem that I experienced firsthand. And that's when I came up with DapperCare, which I developed in early 2021. DapperCare connects consumers with licensed medical professionals, and it enables everyone to seek the health and wellness care that they deserve, no matter who they are or where they're located. Our goal is to be the first stop in people's journey to accessing treatments for hundreds of conditions, utilizing our multi-condition health and wellness platform, providing access to high quality, affordable care without the need for insurance. So we believe that the future of healthcare is led by patients. This is why we put customers back in the ability to live happy out there. So I am currently written $3.5 million and additional develop on our vertically integrated platform and marketing costs. So since we're limited on time, I'll save, but if anybody has any questions, I can give you a full breakdown on how the platform is. But it's, we currently have ePrescribe and we're licensed in all 50 states. We've got a proprietary prescription distribution network. And, and we're currently set up to handle, hundreds of different treatments. And our key differentiator, between us and the competition right now is our focus on personalized care and destigmatizing men's and women's issues with men's and women's sensitive health issues. So hair loss, skincare, mental health, sexual health, erectile dysfunction. So we are also integrating pharmacogenomics testing into our treatment plans in order to, provide a personalized treatment, through our compounding pharmacy that meets their needs and avoids, conflicts with other medications and that are often overseen. We also have proprietary compounding delivery methods that we don't, our competition isn't utilizing, such as, putting erectile dysfunction medication, which is our, biggest seller, into a sublingual dissolvable strip, similar to like a Listerine strip. So what else? We've got in-home care services, which is similar to like Amazon.care's solution, because 1 in 4 doctor's visits requires a, in-person, some type of diagnostic work. So we also will offer that through our platform. Okay. And then, so I know we're running out of time, but if you guys have any questions, you can reach me. My email is david@dapper.care.
Yeah, and
real quick.
Go ahead, real quick, because we're
real quick. Yep. They're looking at psychedelic substances or taking the psychedelic effect out and producing something for cluster headaches. It's very promising, the research, at least. I'll end it there, but I just want
to. They went away and I haven't had them since, so knock on wood. But yeah, that's good. Wish I would have known that back then. Yeah. So
knock on wood. Okay. Does anybody else real quick? I apologize. I'm trying to rush us to the end here. And David, you can meet everybody through chat, and you're always welcome back. And thank you so much for continuing to be, in our community. Come to the Life Science event for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Next is Duncan.
Hi, my name is Duncan Burns. I am the founder of Veggie Dome. Our product is called the Fruit and Veggie Keeper. Now, I am outside your wheelhouse, okay? So don't despair though, because what happens is also, many of the fruit and many of the plant-based products that are out there, Impossible Burger, they were also out of your wheelhouse. So this is something new. You've got to kind of step over to the other side and say, okay, what is it this guy is talking about? If he's saying this is a biological solution to something that can happen in every kitchen, and it's going to make money on the mass production of something that we as a culture, and I'm talking about worldwide, we focused mostly on in North America at this point, is a blind side to our actual food And we are not eating enough vegetables and fruit in this country. Only 10% of the country is, and we're really suffering from all the consequences of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. Now, the idea is this: the Fruit and Veggie Keeper is a simple device that has a kind of dome shape and a lid on the top, and it is utility patented, and design patents are in place in Europe already. We've already mass produced 7,000 units and sold them out in test markets. And the idea is this: you walk into your kitchen, where's the food? It's all hidden in the fridge. What are we doing? We're throwing away 40% of our vegetables and fruit that we buy in the store, over $120 a month in standard American families. It's just, that's what we do. We're blind to the fact that when you harvest vegetables and fruit, guess what it is? It's not just something that is thrown in a plastic bag. It is still alive. How could it kept alive? Well, maybe water. No, not water. People put these celery sticks in water jars, and immediately bacteria starts growing within minutes of that doing that. The moisture in the air is actually how they can survive. And that's how the Veggiedome works, is that the plants themselves, or the vegetables that you've washed and trimmed, you put it in the Veggiedome. So it's like a cookie jar for vegetables. They emit water vapor at dawn and throughout the day. And that moisture in the air, however small amount of moisture that you can feel when you are putting your hand inside there, is enough for them to stay alive for sometimes weeks. Now, that's not why you buy a Veggiedome. And I can mention more about it. Obviously, you can tell I'm excited about it. We are in a seed round raise. We are ready to make the next phase happen. Now that we've sold out the 7,000 that we've made, we're interested in talking to you. My LinkedIn address is in the chat, and I appreciate your time today. This is a big one. Don't walk away.
Okay, that was good. All right, anybody have a quick question?
Yeah, just very briefly. This sounds like a perfect thing for crowdfunding, like ideal thing for crowdfunding. If you don't want conventional crowdfunding, there are equity platforms. If you haven't looked into that, you should go talk to the people over at Startup Bright, and they can help you out with some of those things. But I would really strongly suggest it because your pitch is excellently suited for that realm.
Thank you very much. I'm going to pass on that, though, and I appreciate what you're saying, because we've sold out our inventory. We are getting to the point where we're getting at the end of our runway. And to be able to raise $1 million, you need to have $60,000 to $70,000 of capital to let people know about your campaign. We did a successful Indiegogo campaign 5 years ago. We raised enough money to make our first molds, and Indiegogo was great. But we've got to go with somebody who just falls in love with the idea that they are going to create a new landscape in the kitchen. And it's as easy as something people making a Frisbee back in 1960. Like, why didn't people do it before? Why didn't people invest in it then? Because they just didn't know about it.
Gotcha. Okay, we're going to have to move on. Duncan, it's very interesting. Thank you for presenting. Up next is my friend David. You're up next, David. Got to come off mute, though. You're still on mute.
Still muted.
I'm still learning the technology. I was stuck in chat. Anyway, glad to see you all. Mark, I'm really happy to be back. You know, you and I go back 25, 30 years, if we can count that far. And now I've seen you 2 weeks in a row. If I do it one more week, I think I'm going to have to tell my girlfriend I've seen another guy. Anyway, we both love, you know, projects that change the world. And I love to find new entrepreneurs and technologists, scientists, and engineers to help them go to market. So my skill sets are finding the best-in-class entrepreneurs and early-stage tech companies, help them package their deal flow, corporate strategy, revenue generation with strategic partners. And most importantly for this group now, I think, is the capital raise advisory that I do, because I now have found the one company that will do debt financing for startups. So with no business history, no collateral, I can help you get $100,000 to $150,000 and a line of credit that's replenished or replenishable and at less than 10% interest. I've spoken to a couple of you already through LinkedIn. I'll place it in LinkedIn. And there's basically 2 debt financing programs, with the one that I think is the most easy to access and do is the line of credit up to $150,000. So I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat, and love to hook up with any of you who thinks that might be a solution to what you're doing. Obviously, no dilution to equity.
Okay. Thanks, David. And we welcome you in the community. And yeah, keep coming back. The 3rd week's a charm.
Yes, you bet.
All right. You can meet David and ask him more details about his programs when you guys, and you can meet him, you know, one-on-one outside of the presentation, the pitch venue. We're going to move on now to Judith. You're on mute still.
So I'll be making this 3rd pitch of mine on this community very interesting, and thanks Mark for building this community and connecting everyone. So I'd like to start by saying that India, where we have started, the 50% of audience is below 28 years of age. And when I see these youngsters who are spending more than 30 minutes per day on their dating apps, I see what type of culture they are going through. There are 3 main problems that I see. The first is that there's the culture of links and transactions when it comes to dating apps. The second is they're swiping people based on their photograph instead of their personality and heart. And the third problem is that there's still lots of problem with perceptions of the dating culture, like in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Like parents go like crazy when they see their kids on dating apps. And that's where there needs to be a solution which enables everlasting relationship instead of links, which connects individuals based on their personality instead of swiping just based on photographs and looks. And the third thing is there should be a dating culture where even every brother should be comfortable saying to his sister that this is the dating app that you should download. And that's where we have come up with Adore. Adore comes from the word ADORE, which means loving, liking, with respect and admiration. And we want every young person to say, I adore you instead of I love you. The best part of the product is that we allow individuals to create their holistic personality profile by uploading photograph, writing description, and mentioning their proficiency level in multiple interests, like say dance, yoga, fitness, and 10 plus interest categories. When they do it, our proprietary algorithm will suggest them profiles based on common or complementary interests. And if they are like that, we want to explore more profiles, they can hop into any of the junction, which are like 10 plus categories, and they will find match their choice. Our traction is phenomenal. In spite of growth rate in terms of swipes, our swipe ratio, which is the ratio of like to passes, has improved 2 times. And if we compare it with the industry standards, it is 3 times better. And that's what makes us say that personality-based dating is the next wave forward. Our team has 25 plus years of cumulative experience when it comes to product, business, and sales development. I've done my MBA from one of the top 10 business schools, IIFT, in India. And we have received phenomenal love and support from 60 plus leaders like TV celebs, world record holders in dancing, Miss Asia India, Mr. Icon India, who have come up on our Instagram live and talked their heart regarding their journey and stories. And that's what makes us say that the next generation of youth should say, I adore you instead of I love you. And what's there for you? So we are raising 750K, and there are 2 broad benefits. The first benefit is based on your goodwill. The first thing is that the young people will remember that we met on this platform. We formed our family when we came to meet each other on Adore. Second is they will meet with the mindset of growth mindset. their mind, body, and soul will improve, because that's the type of culture that we are creating. And when we talk about business, let me just talk about business then. Yeah, so business benefits will be that we will reach the MAUs and DAUs of 300,000 and DAUs of 15,000, which will help us reach the monthly recurring revenue of $15,000 to $20,000. And it will also help us reach in top 30 cities of India with user base of 2.5 million to 3 million. And I welcome you all to become a part of this revolutionary dating app, which is shifting dating landscape from flings and transactions to everlasting relationships and swipes, to everlasting relationships and personality-based dating. Thanks a lot, everyone, for providing this opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for pitching. And just a quick announcement. I would appreciate if nobody else will raise their hands. We have 2 more people that I'm going to try and fit in. And then if anybody would like to stay after for a few minutes, I would like to record any testimonials that any of you might be willing to do about our community, because I'm trying to put together a commercial, and it would be nice if a few of you might speak highly about what we're doing and let us edit those comments into a promotional video for our community. And thanks again, Judith, for presenting. Up next is Maria.
Hello. Hello to everybody, and thanks for the opportunity. I'm Maria Bruna, the founder of a space tech startup, Shami LLC. We are working on the concept of Spaceverse. We want to join together the metaverse and the virtual reality in order to enable digital space tourism. The physical space tourism is already a reality, but unless if you are a billionaire or an astronaut, you will never have the chance to walk in the space for real. So we want to set a new market with the digital space tourism, combining the still unexplored power of the metaverse and to transform the customers into digital astronauts. So we want to add an educational side to the metaverse concept itself and to develop a platform with 2 main revenues model: a paid monthly subscription and the direct sale of the virtual reality wearables, headsets, and haptic Oculus that we are going to develop in order to provide a 100% immersive experience. So our goal is to make space accessible for everybody, and we are raising a 500,000 seed round in order to develop the beta version of the metaverse platform itself. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much. Any quick questions? It seems like a big topic. We're probably going to have you in an earlier slot in one of our future events so we can get to questions, but I appreciate you, presenting today. Up next is Gene.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Great. Thanks for having me, and thank you, everyone. Oh, such an honor. I'm the one presenting. Okay, so I will be quick. The technology moves quickly, and we move with it. I'm Giancarlo Cheong. I have a background in game design, computer network, and project management. I'm based here in Caracas, Venezuela, from Latin America. And basically, my team and I help customers to boost their business by creating games for their audience and customers. I've partnered with my friend and music professor from San Diego Music Academy, and by using his techniques, his teaching techniques, we've been able to prove increasing accuracy and retention on the students. So for the past year, we've been working very hard on an MVP which uses the power of rhythm and music combined with the problem solving and puzzle solving skills to create a highly unique experience for all the players. It will be a subscription-based model. Why we're doing it? The music, because it helps you with rhythm coordination. It also helps you combat loneliness in some ways, but also engage new people, challenges, and artists. So yeah, I'm up to take any question you may have.
Gene, I'm gonna you're welcome to meet everybody in the chat over time.
Great.
Welcome to come back. I
Thank you for having me.
apologize to you. I would like to take advantage of the last few minutes of our event. And first of all, I want to thank everybody who stayed to the end. You guys, again, are the rock of this community, the ones that keep showing up every single week, especially the ones that support our founders in this way by staying to the very end of our event. So I just want to thank you all. One of the initiatives that I'm interested in is producing a short video on our community, kind of an advertisement pitch. And for those of you who have actually been to our events and have experienced any positive thing that you might want to share, since we're recording this event, I would really appreciate a few words, a sentence or two, a short statement on why you like the Venture Starters community. It'll help me edit something together, which we can then use in the future to help present our community, because we really are an amazing accomplishment in such a short time. It's really you guys that make it that amazing accomplishment. And yeah, actually, if you will digitally raise your hand to make a comment, then we can kind of do this in a quick order. I'm sorry I'm keeping you longer than 2 hours, but I so appreciate all of you for even, you know, volunteering to say something that we might be able to use in a video about our community. So we'll start with Tino, and you can just, there's no follow-up questions in this. This is just whatever you feel like saying. I want to let you know in advance. Thank you. Go ahead, Tino. Or who's next? Justin is first up. I didn't hear it. Yeah, just going in the order.
Mark, it's absolutely a pleasure to talk about Venture Starters and just how fantastic this format is for entrepreneurs like myself to be able to give a 2-minute pitch and have interaction with a whole bunch of investors and business supporters. I've had so many contacts immediately that leap into LinkedIn out of a chat communication. So it's just absolutely a fantastic format that you've created, and the quality of people here is fantastic. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you, Justin. And May, first time here, happy to hear from you.
Absolutely. I think this is an amazing experience that I've had. I've been to many pitches, single pitches. One of the main value added, I think, is so important is the networking piece, and not just for founders connecting with investors, but I think it's a great ecosystem with other projects and really seeing how you can connect and integrate various solutions together. So I highly recommend it. I've brought on board a few of the other founders and investors, and I've already received great feedback from my first connections. What a great experience they've had. So looking forward to many more.
Thank you, May. All right, Benjamin, nice to see you again.
I was just gonna say, I really like what you're doing, Mark. This is great, the Zoom stuff and everything. But I'm just trying to give you maybe some feedback. What if you had a dedicated platform?
Well, there's a lot of really great ideas that have been discussed among the community members as to ways to improve what we're doing. Understand this is our 12th event, and we're sort of evolving slowly, but in positive ways. And I welcome all suggestions of how to improve this event. This isn't for me, it's for all of us. So Jacob, yes, if you want to take those comments or any suggestions offline so we can dive deeper, I'd be happy to dive deeper with you. But for right now, I'm just looking for, you know, content that I can include in a little bit of a video montage about who we are as a community.
Very well. Okay, thank you.
All right, so up next is Benjamin. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, so give a second for editing here. I'm getting the laughs. Thank you so much for offering this platform for us actually all to come together so quickly, so easily, and using the tools that, if anything, is, you know, one of the silver linings to the whole transformation the globe has gone through, is this type of opportunity. This isn't my first rodeo. I've done a lot of pitches for a bunch of different startups, and it's like this in person. And the accessibility and reach that we have now with a platform like this, with someone just pulling a quick community together like this, it can be invaluable for the startup just that needs that seed, believer, that first investor. So really appreciate this. It doesn't have to get much more complicated than this. You're definitely like doing the good work for everybody. And this is really how the great conversations start. So appreciate this, and I hope to participate in the future.
Thank you, Benjamin. Very well said. You'll definitely be a clip in our video. Up next is Blake, who's one of my favorites. I'm so appreciative that you always come to our events.
Thank you so much, Mark, and it's a real pleasure to be here. As someone who's been working on the investment side of the fence over here, I've been able to get positive feedback from everybody, from Techstars to Renault via Software Republique. I've actually been able to basically find these startups that I would never have been able to reach out to, that I had no idea existed, that would have been far outside of my network, and very easily connect them to people who were like, thank you so much for finding this, or how did you find these people? So I can vouch already practically that every single time I've come here, I've been able to find someone who I can make a difference for, or who can make a difference for someone else in my network. And I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you, Blake. I appreciate the comment. Okay, up next is Duncan.
Great, thank you. This is my first time with Start Venture, and I found that my company, VeggieDome, was received with good humor and good response. I feel this is a very welcoming group of people, and yet I know also that there's some really high-powered dealings going on. I'm just amazed at the cohort of startups that I've seen today. A bunch of world changers. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. Up next, James.
Yes, Mark. We've been here almost every week since you started a couple of months ago. It's been a wonderful community. As a startup, you never know where opportunity will come from. I can tell you each week we've been here, at least 2 or 3 contacts have come from it, either investors or partners. And, we have a prospect list, a spreadsheet we put together, and there's a tab there just for Mark November. So we have 25 folks on there right now, and we will come back every week, and we just love the passion of all the folks and investors here for startups. And thank you for doing this.
Thanks, James. All right, up next is Judith.
Yeah, I like to say that Venture Starters is one of the best communities that I have ever seen. It has lots of positive impact in the way that it's connecting passionate founders across various industries with, investor networks who are very highly educated and who provide a very tangible feedback and inputs. And I think that this has been like one of the best experiences. And I look forward to participating more and receiving inputs from, various impact-driven investors as well as founders in the community. Keep going, and this will grow to great heights. I wish you all the best, Mark, and to the entire team.
Thank you very much. Okay, Tino, I lost you for a second there. Glad you're back.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I love attending when I can. It's a great group of founders and investors and generally knowledgeable, interested people, and it's all about creating serendipity, meeting investors, meeting co-founders, and other people who are interested in supporting. Thank you.
Thank you, Tino. Hello, Ash. You're next.
Hello. So I just want to say that the path of entrepreneurship is lonely. It's not a binary, 1 or 0. We often need support, help, and just sometimes some communication. That's where I think Venture Starters is making a positive impact. because otherwise I don't know where where do we need to go. But I really love the welcoming community here. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to participating in more pitches and in more events. Thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Very nice. George, are you? There you go. Hi, George.
Hi, thank you so much, Mark. This has been a great opportunity. You know, for me, it is like more of an Investopedia, or, you know, a community where you meet seasoned individuals from both divide, that is the investors and the startups. And I do appreciate the kind of commitment you're putting into this in terms of reminders, but more importantly, just the ability to get people talk very candidly about the ideas. And I like the way you also moderate these sessions, the pitches, but even the fact that you get prompt feedbacks. This is exciting, and I'm really looking forward to learning more, even as I also exchange ideas with others across, even as I also seek to grow through learning and doing all the way. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya.
Thank you, George. That was very nice. Appreciate that. All right, David.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I just wanted to say that, you know, this, you know, has been an amazing experience for me. I do a lot of these, but it's always nice when you see someone that's put something together that just works. You know, this is, I believe, my third event, and, you know, I'm progressing along and getting better. And, you know, I love it because I get, you know, positive, constructive feedback from everybody. Everybody's actively, you know, participating and, you know, giving their feedback and offering their assistance with, you know, everything. So I've, you know, right out of the gates, I've been able to connect with, you know, several possible investors and, you know, people that have, you know, helped with, you know, building out my business and everything I do, you know, from a business development standpoint. So it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So nice of you to say. Up next is Isaac.
When Mark first asked me to be part of the program, first thing that came to my mind was what's the catch? What does he want in return for it? And I was really surprised to see that it was a free network group of people who, you know, come together and help startups and provide feedback. It's my first session here today, and just in the last few hours I've been part of this group, I've already sent my deck to 3 people, and one of the person on the platform actually reached out to me and said, you know, send me your wish list. I've actually never had a network that I've been to which is free. I'm not giving up equity. I'm not paying for the services. That actually has a huge impact that I've had in the last two hours. I'm really excited about this group, and I hope to be part of growing with the group.
Thank you for saying that, Isaac. Appreciate it. All right, Mario, good to see you.
Thank you, Mark. This has been just such a fantastic experience. I've pitched a couple of times. I've attended a few more. It's a great way to discover. It's a great way to learn. It's a great way to share. I see some of these founders that have so much experience, and I see other founders that you can tell they're just, and the amount of investor interaction. I think this is a fantastic opportunity. If you're an investor, if you're a founder, or if it's someone who just wants to know a little bit about business, you're going to learn a whole lot here. So congratulations to you, and congratulations to all of you and your team. This is a great opportunity for all of us, I believe.
Actually, it's a congratulations to everybody who is here, everybody in the community. This is not just me and Luke. This is really all of you that make this event work. Keep coming back. You know, as long as you keep coming back, I'll keep coming back. Hopefully, we're going to build it. Thank you for hanging in there for the rest of the day and doing these little video pitches for us. I'm a little tired myself, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Thank you all. Great event. Loved it. And the pitches were fantastic today. Looking forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, everyone.